This training video is brought to you by K-Alliance. K-Alliance is the 21st century's educational corporation, specializing in the most comprehensive enterprise training solutions, ranging from e-learning to instructor-led training. Press play for success. After watching this video, be sure to become a Facebook fan to receive the latest updates, promotions, and course releases. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to preview the latest desktop, soft skills, and IT training videos.
Active Directory replication is the process of copying updates from one server to another. Since we're in a multi-master replication model, any domain controller can make additions, modifications, or deletions to the Active Directory database. And then those changes need to be replicated or pushed to the other domain controllers in the same domain and in the same forest. Multi-master, though, will cause us to have a few issues that can arise, and we need to deal with these accordingly. The first issue is the accuracy of the replicas or integrity. We need to make sure that replication is occurring. If replication is not occurring, then we have domain controllers that have out-of-date information. Monitoring replication and monitoring errors can help us to do that. Okay. Also the consistency of the replicas, and that's known as convergence. The convergence is truly the amount of time that it takes to get an update around to all replicating partners. The lower the convergence, the better consistency for the network as a whole. We also need to think about performance, because with changes occurring, replication can be very frequent, and so we need to monitor and adjust the site link schedules and things for performance. The key characteristics of Active Directory replication that we want to understand are that it is a multi-master pull type of replication. Now we know what multi-master is, but pull means that my notification to you that I have a change, domain controller 1 to domain controller 2, is essentially just notifying of a change. It's not pushing the change, it's notifying of the change, and then domain controller 2 requests the change. So it's a pull type of replication. And that's actually very beneficial, because instead of pushing updates that potentially that server already has, I notify you of an update, you determine whether or not you need that update, and then you request that update from me. And so that actually just works a little bit more efficiently. You also have store and forward mechanisms. There are two transport protocols that can be used, one of which is SMTP. Now SMTP isn't used very often and it has some restrictions, but it does have the ability to send Active Directory replication in the format of an email message as a store and forward. You do have replication at the partition level. Remember, the partitions logically divide the Active Directory database and they store different information. So, in other words, your replication partners for the domain partition could be different than your replication partners for the schema and the configuration partition. And application partitions could be completely different because it's a custom list. We have automatic topology generation. Basically, that means the creation of these connection objects that are required for replication to happen is done automatically. It's done by a service known as the KCC, or the Knowledge Consistency Checker. We're also replicating at the attribute level. Consider a situation where a user is modified on two different domain controllers. And they're modified on domain controller 1, we change the phone number, and on domain controller 2, the office attribute. When the replication occurs, there is no conflict, because we're not replicating at the object level, but at the attribute level. So the only time you'd ever have a conflict is if we actually changed the same attribute on two different replicas to two different values. We also have collision detection and remediation, basically just conflict resolution. There's a couple of types of conflicts that can occur. The conflict of the same value for an attribute is one, and so we'll use version numbers and timestamps to get automatic conflict resolution there. Distinguished name conflicts, where an object is created with the same name. Both objects are kept. One is renamed to signify that there was a duplicate name, and it's very easy to tell. And we also have orphaned objects. If I delete the container object on the container object that contained child objects such as users and groups, then they get put in a lost and found container. So basically, conflict resolution is built right into Active Directory replication processes, and there's not anything that I really have to do for that to work. Now, there's two primary types of replication that can occur in Active Directory. They are intra-site, inside the site, and inter-site, between sites. So intra-site replication uses connection objects. These connection objects are inbound replication connections. They are automatically generated by the KCC. The replication inside a site is going to use what's known as a change notification mechanism. That means that when a change occurs, I'm going to notify replication partners that a change has occurred. And then those partners, if they require that change and they don't have that update, they will request the change from me. Partners will use polling every hour to compare databases and make sure that we are consistent. And the downstream directory replication agent, or DRA, always initiates changes. And that just means it's a fancy way of saying, I tell you I have a change, and then you request the change. And when you request a change, you'll get changes to all partitions that are held by both partners would be replicated. The key thing in a site is that we are assuming that you have high-speed links, reliable, and we don't have any bandwidth constraints. That's why these domain controllers are in the same site. They should replicate, and the level of convergence is going to be very low. Latency is going to be very, very low inside the site. On the other hand, inter-site replication is going to be different. Inter-site replication is going to require site links and bridgehead servers. Site links are going to link the two sites. Basically, it's a logical representation of a physical connection that links the two sites. The bridgehead servers are the servers that are responsible for replicating between the two sites. It's also going to be something that is only, replication is not happening on a change notification mechanism. It is happening when the schedule says that it can happen. So it's on a predefined schedule, and that's based on the properties of the site link. The site link is going to have a window of time that we can replicate in, and then a frequency, an interval on which we'll replicate. So there's a lot more to inter-site replication, and we'll spend some more time on that, but these are the two basic types. So replication, copying updates from one domain controller to another. And these are the two types of replication that occur. It's a multi-master replication model with poll replication, with conflict resolution built in, and it works very well for having multiple domain controllers in a directory service environment. Let's take a look now at a little further look at the functionality and the configuration that's required for configuring inter-site replication.